Welcome to the Lone Jack Totally Off Track podcast, a family ran show with myself, Amanda, and my husband, Nolan, and my brother, Matthew, that is, well, a little bit off track. We will cover a wide range of topics. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and you shouldn't either. Thank you for being here, and we hope you enjoy the show. So, you watched Wicked, and you like the soundtrack.
The Wicked soundtrack is gas. It's really good. I thought it was all satanic propaganda, but no, it's amazing. I'm going to watch it again tomorrow with my wife. It'll be good.
Nice. Okay. I've decided in my old age that I don't like new movies.
What do you mean?
I like the movies that I've watched once and know that I like, and that's what I like to watch again. There's not been one new movie that I've seen in the last couple of years where I'm like, this was an actually good movie. So
was it the Horizon movie that broke you? Remember you said you saw that one. Was that Horizon with Kevin Costner? You said that one wasn't very good, unfortunately.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's my type of stuff, but
was it like sad and depressing the whole time?
No, it didn't really get to, well, I guess there was a whole town and all of the people got killed, and the wife and the daughter that lived found out that her husband and all her sons were killed. So I guess that was sad, I suppose, but it was just not like the hype around it. If you grow up with John Wayne westerns, you can't just have these westerns and call them like westerns. And since it was like a 4-parter or 3,
it's gonna be a 4, but
since it was gonna be like a 4-parter, they were like jumping around because it was like, this is the past and then this is the future and this is sometime in the middle, but then the people are killed and then more people are coming and then all the stories are kind of trying to combine instead of it just being like the whole movie and knowing everything got resolved. So like, yeah, after all 4, maybe it would all make a little more sense, but in one movie it was kind of chaotic in my mind.
And now the second one has,
and it was not funny at all. And I like funny movies.
Well, yeah, I don't think it was supposed to be funny.
John Wayne was funny sometimes.
I don't think it was ever advertised as funny. It was
westerns are funny sometimes. Just think about Rooster Cogburn kicking that Indian boy off the step and whipping the other one with a rope for beating on that mule. He just kicked him off the step and then he threw the other one through the railing. That's hilarious.
But it was advertised as like what real life western, and was like when people were coming this way and like the real struggles of it. Not.
I don't understand why you can't throw in a funny thing.
Well, maybe there is. But the other problem is it is like 3.5 hours long or something.
Oh yeah.
But I could sit and just watch that stuff all day long, pretty much. But
well, you're a sadist. You're like, oh, they're starving.
Well, I like the old like West, real life West kind of, and I thought it was pretty good. But
did you ever watch
the rest of the world didn't?
No. Did you ever watch that movie? Christian Bale's in it. I think it's called Hostiles or Hostel.
I saw that one.
That one wasn't too bad. That was a western that was it wasn't funny.
Okay, no,
it was definitely not funny, but it was. I thought that was good.
We didn't watch that one, but I have seen that title at least.
I remember that one was good. It was a good flick. Okay, what's your favorite western then?
Our paid actress is back. She's very cute back there.
Where is she?
On the cat tree.
She's
not quite. Just woke up.
My view is like this.
Yeah,
hello,
we see her. She's cleaning her face. She's so cute.
Julia.
John Wayne and the Cowboys is my favorite, and it has funny parts, but it's also it is also pretty sad. It is devastating.
Mr. Nightlinger is an excellent character.
I get hate for the one I like.
I like Red River too.
I like True Grit, but like the newer one.
The newer True Grit is really good. I love John Wayne, but I think I love John Wayne, but I think the newer True Grit is better than the old one.
I just don't. I just don't like how it ends. The whole thing is just very sad. Okay, it's because of the horse. The horse saved the girl, but
I love that part.
Well, of course you do. Talk about sadists. That would be you.
That movie is so cool because I think, now I know this isn't a movie podcast, but I think what's cool about that is the whole movie up to that point, you're finding out that Rooster Cogburn is just like this chronic F up. You know what I mean? Like, he can't shoot the biscuits out of the air. He can't get off his horse. He can't, finish setting up camp before he gets too drunk. And then, like, in that part of the movie, you find out, like, the legend of him is true when he rides at everybody with the reins in his teeth, fucking shooting everybody. You know what I mean? And then he goes down the well and he grabs the girl and he rides the horse for, like, 2 days to get her out. Like, you find out, like, the legends are true. But I like that. It's like a whole misdirection of, like, he's full of crap. He's an F up. He lives in like a Chinese grocer's like back room with an orange cat. You know what I mean? Like, I really like that part. And I think that they do a better job of that in the newer one of like, he is a screw up, but he can rise to the occasion.
All I can say is that the girl in that movie just proved what girls in all movies do and in real life. They screw everything up, okay? She should have never been firing the gun. She would have never fallen in where there were snakes, okay? She should have just not been such a screw up herself, if we're talking about screw ups.
You've never seen Sigourney Weaver in Alien if you haven't seen that. She's not a screw up. She saves the Nostradamus? Nostromo? I can't remember what the name of her spaceship is.
I don't know.
You ever seen Alien?
I would never watch something like that. Do you know who you're talking to? Why would I watch that? I don't like sci-fi stuff.
Another Western Amanda did not like is Lonesome Dove.
Okay,
You're kidding. You're kidding.
I don't not like it because it's not a good movie. I don't like it because the kid, he gets eaten by the cottonmouths, water moccasins, okay? That's horrifying. I will never touch water in the South ever, okay?
Oh my God.
I'm surprised that I swam in that pond in Texas.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. I'm going to try and find it on YouTube really quick and I can share my screen. In that movie, when they rustle the horses from Mexico, that one of their horses, I guess, trips and throws the rider and lands on top of him and they cut really quick.
Yeah.
Did I ever show you?
You showed me that. You showed me.
Have you guys seen that?
This.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I won't show you.
Have you seen that? I thought you sent that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I just caught that just watching and go, oh my gosh, like that extra is dead. Like the horse rolls on top of him and then it like cuts to the next scene really quick. And I'm like, you can see that they had like one take to do that scene and that guy's horse tripped, flipped, and landed on him. And I was like, he's dead.
It's a real Western.
He's gone.
Listening to it, like the book has way more like awesome one-liners, way more than in the movie. But
the book is phenomenal.
I need to listen to it or read it a couple more times to remember all of what he says because
I really like some good ones. Who I can't remember. I think it's Gus now. Gus is the more free-spirited guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it says that he always gets up early because he likes to live all the hours of the day he can, and he makes biscuits, and he just opens his Bible and he reads whatever's on the page. I like when it's talking about that. It's like, if God wants me to learn something, I'll just read it on whatever page I open to. And he's like, and makes biscuits. I liked that. He's just he'd always get up early and go to bed late. Well, because he was drinking. So, there's your theology lesson for the day. So. But it says something like that where, I just open it up and read it while the biscuits are cooking. Whatever page I flip to.
Did you say what your favorite Western is?
I really like, it's been a long time, but Pale Rider was really good with Clint Eastwood. I'm a big Clint Eastwood stan. And
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
I like that one. I'm trying to think what my all-time favorite. What was the one that Quentin Tarantino did? The Hateful Eight is fun.
That's rough.
That's a brutal movie. But for old ones, I probably have to say Pale Rider is really good. And I also really love Two Mules for Sister Sarah with Clint Eastwood. It's the same character as, like, I think Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
And The Cowboys by John Wayne. Dad always showed us that one. That one was heartbreaking every time. Every time that one is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It taught me never to have your finger in the sugar dish while everybody's driving cows. It taught me that to
Outlaw Josie Wells.
Yeah.
That's our cat's favorite Western for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes on, he is glued to the TV.
Oh, he loves it, huh?
So, him and Grandpa.
How many times do you think Grandpa Ray has seen the movie? That's something I'd like to ask
I don't
him.
know. Probably a lot.
I think he's watched it once a week since would it come out in 64? I'm sure he's seen it once a week since 64. So that's
probably
60 years, 50 times a year. Yeah, he never turns it off when it comes on.
No, for sure not. So that's funny.
That's great.
Yeah. What's the Three Sons of Katie Elder? I liked that one too.
That one is good. Anyway. I think it's just the Sons of Katie Elder.
Oh, the Sons. Okay.
This is kind of advice, but it's like a one-liner from Gus. He says, Woodrow, you just don't ever get the point. It's not dying I'm talking about, it's living.
I like it. Because Gus wants to live. And
he just wants to live.
And it's funny because...
I mean, he's okay with dying, but he's going to live before he dies. Or he might be living, he might die because he's living.
Because surprise, surprise, at the end of the series, he's the one that doesn't make her.
So sad.
I think she doesn't like it because, spoiler alert, everyone, pretty much everyone, many people survive.
Yeah, everybody
dies. Okay.
Everyone dies, and then Woodrow never acknowledges his son that is clearly his son, which pisses me off still to this day.
He's kind of a heartless individual.
Hey, I Love You, Son would have been a great end to the book and everybody living, but it just didn't happen. Another one, I wish that the book was really good. Cormac McCarthy writes really good, like Texas literature. And he's well known. He did No Good Country for Old Men.
Oh, okay,
and they turned that into a movie, which the movie was really good with the source material. Because the book is really good.
I've seen that. I've never...
You have
watched it before?
Amanda probably hasn't watched it. It's not her type of movie. It isn't a feel-good story. Not saying that's what you want.
But it's got Tommy Lee Jones.
Dad watched it, and he said it wasn't very good. So then I was like, if he didn't like it, then I'm probably not gonna.
It's got some good dudes in it.
You wouldn't like it, but Nolan would like it. It's not a feel-good movie. I'm not saying all you like is feel-good movies. But that same author, Cormac McCarthy, he wrote a book called All the Pretty Horses, which was phenomenal. I would really love to see that turned into a film. It's like a guy in, I believe it's like the 60s, he gets tired of Texas and he wants to go live out the Wild West, and he doesn't really have a family. He's like 14 or 16, and he goes down to Mexico and he works as a cowboy on some ranches, and it's a phenomenal story. But I hope that they turn that into a movie. I know they'll butcher it and it won't be any good, but it was really...
Maybe you should write the script for it.
Yeah.
The script is already in the book. I thought it was going to be the dumbest book in the world. It's called All the Pretty Horses. I was like, this is going to be super dumb. And I read it. I was glued to it. I was like, this is
people can
amazing.
Take a book and still they write a movie script off of the book and they still screw it up.
I know.
So
that's a
you should probably learn how to write movie scripts, and then you could do it, and then you could cast us in it.
What? No, don't cast us.
No, you're not Mexican. Amanda would have to be a Mexican gal.
I'm way too white for
extras.
that.
You could be in the background somewhere.
Yeah, we can be extras.
Oh, jeez. I was thinking that there's a couple movies I don't like that aren't feel-good movies, but they actually do warm my heart. Like the last Rambo, Last Blood, that one, it really did warm my heart. When he rips out the guy's heart, I could not handle it.
This says a lot about
it. It was the best part of the movie.
Amanda's always been a real one. She always would watch Rambo with me.
I'm gonna rip out your heart.
And how old were you when you saw this?
Well, that Last Blood only came out a couple years ago.
Okay.
Last Blood was crazy. I remember thinking, holy shit, this is a lot of blood and violence.
It definitely escalated from the missionary one, Rambo, which was the one before it. Like, that one was kind of brutal, but this one was, like, so much bloodier, and it was kind of shocking how much blood and stuff.
2019.
But I love Sylvester Stallone.
We know.
The Rocky movies are one of the only movies that will, if I have, like, too many drinks and I watch the Rocky movie, I guess it turns out to be his brother-in-law, Paulie, in Rocky 4 when he fights the Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Paulie has, like, a heart-to-heart with him. Oh, my God, I'll sob like a baby. Paulie's like, I'm always... Because Paulie's, like, a comic relief, and that's, like, me in my life. He's just like, Rock! He's like, I'll tell you this, man. He's like, he goes into a heart-to-heart. I watched that. I was home alone. I was drunk. I was the last time I really remember crying. I was 24. I was crying my eyes out to that scene. I was like,
24. God. That was last year.
Yeah.
That
was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I was like, man, Paulie really loves his brother-in-law that he would say that to him, man. I was crying my eyes out. That and the movie
He was 240 some months old.
Yeah. What?
240 months old. I hate when people do that. But that in that movie War Horse, have you seen that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Once was enough on that one.
I would say if you see my wife stopped watching it, she goes, "Does everybody in this movie have to die?" And was crying right out. And I was like, "Come on, the horse is still alive." She goes, "I don't give a fuck about the horse."
Oh, jeez.
The movie is titled War Horse. You should give a crap about the horse.
Well, and like the other type of stuff I like, which I think you like as well, is like Band of Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And the Pacific, and Amanda does not like those. As in,
no.
I mean, I think she realizes they're good.
I think you
good.
have to use a different terminology, because when you say I don't like them, it's
like
not that I
them.
don't like it. It's that I start feeling things that I should not be feeling anymore.
Yeah, you can't just turn that movie on and relax and watch it and enjoy it.
Well, and then I just think, like, all of our guys, or... Why can I never remember the airplane one?
Have you watched the Masters of the Air?
Masters of the Air. It's the...
I don't think I have quite yet.
We watched it as it came out with your parents.
Yeah, so it's the bombers for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when one of those planes go down, there are 10 guys in the plane. So when they come back and they say we lost
40 planes.
40 planes... That's 400 men that did not make it home. And they were just sending the planes out there, these gigantic, huge bombers with no protection until... Who? Who did the P-40s?
They didn't have escorts all the way into Germany until Doolittle took over.
Yeah, so then when Doolittle took over, then he had them escort them the whole way, so then they could actually, like, stand a chance, because those bombers are not out maneuvering. What were the little bastards flying?
They're probably like Fokkers or something
MF
like
109s.
Yeah, the MF. Exactly, MF. MF 109s. That's I'm going to remember this. The little MF 109s. These bombers they're not able to outmaneuver or outfly, so if they get...
They've got lots of guns, though.
Yeah, but they can't just whoo, whooshoo. And nobody... Oops, I need to stop hitting the table. Anyway, so I'm glad Doolittle figured it out and was like, no, they need to have the escorts, the P-40s, right?
P-51s.
P-51. P-51.
Yeah.
Mustang. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mustang. Yeah. No, that stuff is crazy, because I was... I'm trying to find the numbers here now. That's why I'm looking at my screen. As in World War I, you always hear about, like, the Battle of, like, Belleau Wood, or the Battle of this, the Battle of that. Yeah. So the Somme, or the Somme, was this big offensive in the First World War, and it's talking about, like, how it, like, didn't work. But it was like, I'm trying to find the exacts.
They were just stuck in trenches, weren't they?
Yeah, so it was like this big offensive by what would have been like the British and the French against the Germans. I'm trying to find the exact numbers. But like in like 14 days, almost 1 million people died on both sides. In like 14 days of fighting. It's like,
honestly, I don't care about one of the sides, so.
Well, it's like, isn't that crazy? Like, imagine 1 million people dying in like a month. Like, that's wild. So you're right. Like when they go like, oh yeah, 40 planes didn't come back. Like when you do the math, like man, that happened for like 3 years where
Yeah.
X number
Well,
of
yeah.
planes didn't come back, and it's like, oh wow, when you multiply that number by 10, that's thousands and thousands of people. It's
Well,
like, and
exactly.
what did
Well,
they
and
die
then
for?
for sure, and like, so they didn't have anybody talking in Masters of the Air. They're probably all dead. Anyway,
They didn't have any of those
I don't
guys.
think so. Like in Band of Brothers, where they actually have them talk at the beginning of each
Yeah,
episode
I
or
know what you're
whatever.
talking about. I don't think there's very many World War II vets alive in the
And
U.S. Maybe less than
That's the
100.
thing.
well, and so like you see them, and then it's just like you can just see that they went through so much, and so it just makes me sad that they had to go through that. And then it also just makes me sad with the way like everything is going in the US of A, and just thinking these men lost so many of their friends, and so many people lost their sons and stuff just for us to screw up the country for no reason. But like so many people died for our freedom, and people just kind of take that for granted, and it makes me upset. So that's why I can't watch Band of Brothers or any real movie, any real war movie. I can watch Rambo because it's fake, and I can get some enjoyment out
Yeah,
of
nobody gets
Sylvester
hurt by
Stallone
watching Rambo.
shirtless. And so, yeah, but then, you watch Band of Brothers of the Pacific or Masters of the Air. Or, we were at a hockey game with mom and dad a couple weeks ago, and it was like the veteran night, and they had a guy from
That guy from World War II,
well, who are the other
Korean
ones? Because he was
Korean
the
War,
last. Yeah, they had like from
Vietnam, the Gulf War, and the Afghanistan War.
Yeah, and then like
Wow.
the World War II guy, he was out there, and
I think it's like 102 or
yeah,
103.
yeah, he was
Jeez.
out there on the ice, and well, I mean they have the mats laid out, but he was
I
out
think
there.
he fought in Normandy. I think.
Yeah, and he like they went through his accommodations, which was a long list, but we couldn't even hear it because as soon as they said like World War II vet, everyone is like screaming, and I was crying. I'm gonna cry now. Anyway, yeah, it was just very cool when they can honor them. I mean, that's not. I don't know if it's really that much of an honor for us. Maybe it is to scream for them.
Yeah.
We should have done a lot more for all of them. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I know Uncle Gordy was in Vietnam and got hit by friendly fire, so he got to go home and get a bunch of surgeries and didn't even get a Purple Heart because he was injured by friendly artillery.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't know that. Or
Yeah, that's
maybe
why
I
he's
did.
got that big chunk missing into his
Yeah.
forearm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shell exploded next to him in a trench and ripped his
Okay.
forearm
But
off.
they determined it was friendly, and
It was because they would shoot smoke canisters. This is a story I heard. I'd like to hear it from Uncle Gordy again. They'd shoot smoke canisters to mark where artillery would fall that evening, then they'd pull back. And when those smoke canisters would come out of the artillery shell, they would spin. And when those spun into the trench where he was at, and he was spinning so fast it hit the bottom of his arm
Ooh.
and ripped from like his wrist to his elbow, all the skin off the
Huh.
bottom. So it was just like his bones hanging out. And then he got sent back to Hawaii, which I guess was fine because then he got to go home and live. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was there for like 2 months, and then yeah, got his freaking forearm ripped off by friendly fire. Like, dang man.
Wow.
Yeah, Gordy lost 2 months of his life to another pointless war to make money for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear? This is February 2nd. We're going back to the Middle East. We're going to occupy Gaza now. Let's go. We're going to put a Trump
apparently
tower
without
there.
troops. Apparently
Yeah.
with not using any troops.
Yeah, no troops, and there's not going to be a Trump tower there. Don't worry about it.
I haven't read what the plan is, but apparently he says troops won't be necessary.
I would be okay
I can think
with
of a
it.
lot of things that troops wouldn't be necessary for.
I'd be okay with it if he was like, if they were like, okay, we're gonna like go in, we're gonna occupy it, we're gonna strip mine it, and we're gonna make trillions of dollars off of it. Like, I'd be good. But they're like, we're gonna go in, we're gonna rebuild it. I know we just paid them to bomb the shit out of it, but now we're gonna rebuild it. Like, damn it! Like, why can't we strip mine it? Why can't we get some plumbing in there? I can go work on, make some prevailing wage on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, since we sent how many millions of dollars over there to Hamas for condoms?
Yes. Oh my
500.
goodness.
500 million, I think.
Isn't that crazy seeing how much money is being. I'm so. Auditing the federal government is crazy because I remember seeing. Um, I think the guy's name something Paul Ron Paul. He's
Mm.
always been like a small government guy. I remember seeing he did a presentation about how many millions the government spent on the difference in violence in sunfish when you gave them tequila or when you gave them vodka. They measured what the fish's behavior was like. Something crazy like that.
Hmm.
We spent
Well,
like $785,000 on that like experiment. It's like, dude, we just piss money away. That's why it's like money is made up to the government. They make the money, so it's like they don't really care what it costs because they'll just print more. It's like, damn,
there was
I want to be
11
like
million or something like that spent on um, rats that were receiving
that.
testosterone to help them become transgender, and they were testing to see if the transgender rats that were receiving testosterone would overdose on a date rape drug sooner than rats that were not receiving testosterone. 11 million to that.
Who cares?
And meanwhile,
Well,
there's
you have to
homeless
test it on
people.
that before you do it on humans. You have to see
Before we see if we can kill people with date rape drugs?
well, you want to see what the limit is.
Why?
You saw where they were headed with all that stuff.
You know, they say that, and they send all the money to Israel and Ukraine, and it's like, and there's like 250. Wait, no, I'm sorry. There's 25,000 homeless people in the Denver metro area. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
can't we at least get the homeless people off the street? Because when Xi Jinping visited San Francisco, they got the homeless people off the
They
street.
cleaned it
So
up quick.
that showed that it can happen. That there is you can dump an endless amount of money into it, but if you don't want it to happen, it ain't gonna happen. It's
Well,
like,
I'm
damn.
sure that just involved a couple buses shipping them to Seattle.
Yeah, they probably just sent them. I think it was San Francisco they
Or
visited.
to
They
the
probably just
outskirts of
sent them.
town, like they do the Bears in Asheville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Take them 10 miles away, and takes them 2
It
weeks to
takes them
come
a bit
back.
to get back. Oh, that's
Yeah,
horrible, Nolan.
dinner and a show.
but the
Like, man,
government, I was seeing this thing where there was like they have however many 100 million go in this place, and that they're and like 3 or 4 different places, different
hmm
batches of hundreds of millions or something like that, and they say they can't. It's unaccounted for. Like they can't account for it, but they can account for you not having, like, if you misplaced 600 and some dollars, they might audit
oh
you
yeah, oh they'll
or
skin
whatever
me
on your
alive and put
taxes.
the video on the internet for God's
But
sake.
like, yeah, a couple, like, 100 million to somewhere, it'd be like, that's unaccounted. We can't track that. That's unaccounted
Yeah,
for. We don't know what that was or where that came from.
I
yeah.
can think of so many things that I could just maybe if I had Elon's number, I could call him up and be like, "There's a couple other things I think are unnecessary. If you
Yeah.
would like to cut them off the
Well,
list."
apparently,
People
in
are
like,
talking about that you have to that they're having interviews of like, what did you do this week? Explain why your function is important.
yeah,
And people are like, "Ah, that's crazy. I can't do that." It's like I know it's different worlds. Like you work for the
yeah,
government, you work in an office building, but I can explain to you in 30 seconds why my job is important.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I make it so people can shit and wash their hands. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
boom, that was 4 seconds. You know what I mean? If you can't in 15 minutes explain like what you did, why your job is important, maybe I hate to tell you this, but maybe your job isn't
They
Yeah.
they
essential.
they
Yeah.
say that in like the however long they've been going, 17 days, or this was, I
hmm
think, this number I saw was they was in 2 weeks and they had saved taxpayers 64 billion in 2 weeks.
I'd believe it, man.
So imagine what in several months or a year.
That's probably why he's already getting impeached.
Yeah, apparently
Yeah.
they're calling for impeachment or passing,
Oh.
trying to get it
Because
already.
because what was that one thing you
There's,
said that
you know,
something aid USA
yeah,
Oh,
US aid?
USAID. Yeah.
yeah. So did
Mhm.
you have you heard of or seen, or I've never really seen it, but I've heard of the website Politico.
I've heard of Politico. Yeah. Yeah.
So they were receiving, I don't know if it was monthly or yearly or what, but the number was 8 million. Um, and they got from the U.S. aid or whatever, and that cut out, and within like the first, within 2 weeks of them, or a week of them losing their, because they were getting it from the U.S. aid to fund the whole process to basically slam MAGA and everything. So within 2 weeks of them losing their funding, or a week, they couldn't write paychecks to the employees. So that was the only source of money they were getting, apparently.
Yeah, it was from the U.S. government.
From the government, yeah.
Which, how can you be in, because Politico is like supposed to be impartial, like news and U.S. government coverage. How can you be impartial when they're writing their paychecks? That's just a government-funded news network. That's a propaganda network.
But so they're done if they can't. If they had no money in the tank to write paychecks within 1 week of losing the funding, it's crazy. Well, it can go on, but maybe we should move on past political stuff.
So
we may not know. We may not know what we're talking about.
It is.
I definitely know what I'm talking about. The government needs to be downsized, even more than I think they're planning on.
Well, it makes you more tired of paying taxes when you actually. We all had suspicions that it was not being used properly, but now they're actually showing us that it was not being used properly.
Taxes are great.
Yes, I wish that there was a box I could tick that on my like tax return. Like, I would like my taxes for the next year. I'm willing to like pay for welfare for Americans. I'm willing to take care of people that are impoverished, pay for people's medical needs, whatever. I don't want my money going to Israel for bombs. I don't want to go to Ukraine for bombs. I don't want to bomb anybody in another country. I don't want to pay for that. I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want anybody I know to pay for that. I just want to pay for the roads, the bridges. Let's do that. Let's do that stuff first. Then we can, take care of Halliburton bombing other countries. But I guess Halliburton's an American company, so maybe
let's use our tax
money. So far, all he said, I don't want to pay for any of that stuff either. So I would like options to check some boxes, because the amount of boxes I would check would be like maybe 2, and my taxes could be maybe $10 a year, and that would be awesome.
I'll help pay for like some fighter jets and some aircraft carriers.
No,
if you can walk around the factory, if you're like, if I can walk around, I'll put another 2%.
If I can fly one of
those.
They
have enough of those.
You know where I want to go? I want to go. So they have this Cheyenne.
Maybe they should stop crashing them. And then...
You got to stay upgraded. You got to stay on top of it so you can.
Anyway, what?
They have the Cheyenne Mountain Complex here in Denver. The freaking door on the facility is like 30 feet thick and like 200 feet tall. It's crazy. It's like where the government's supposed to go in like a nuclear war. It's a mountain that they hollowed that bitch out, and they got this big door on the front. They got missile silos. It's crazy. You can tour it, because supposedly it was like really big during the Cold War. It was like super secret. Now everybody knows about it. I really would like to go up there. Like I said, they got this big door you can drive 18-wheelers in. It's thick enough you can withstand a nuclear blast. I'd like to go up there and see that before I leave Denver. I don't think
that would be kind of.
It'd be cool to see like the silos and stuff.
There
was I had heard from an older guy in Kansas that, during that time, somewhere around there was some silos. Like as I recall, I was younger, but he had said that, at one point he's seen like the top of this thing open.
I'd believe it.
But I don't know. Like, I never heard that it was like in the close, like immediate vicinity of like where I grew up, but somewhere around there, I don't know. But,
that is why in the 60s, the infrastructure in middle of the United States blossomed, is because that's where all the missile facilities were during the Cold War, is because they moved all that stuff to the center. So if the Russians wanted to hit our offensive capabilities, they were hitting populations that really didn't matter. Like Denver was big, Cheyenne, Wyoming was big, Kansas, Washington. I bet like Fairchild, they have a bunch of silos out there. I don't think they're in use anymore. So because in Russia, they would build them fairly close to their cities, because Russia is massive. So they're like, in the U.S., they're like, we're going to build it in the middle of Cheyenne. So if you hit that with a nuke, you're going to kill like 16 guys in a bunker. That's about it. You know what I mean? And maybe 60,000 antelope and a couple of cows. That's about it.
It's not New York or L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That they would prioritize their strikes there. So that was, now it's like if a nuclear war kicks off, I'm cooked because there's like 8 military bases around here. You guys will just see like maybe some dust float by one day and you'll be like, that was my brother. You
That
know,
is so dark.
you guys live up in the mountains now you'll survive the apocalypse, you know, but me, I have the blessings to die early in it.
Well,
No, but where I was going with this is that Cheyenne Mountain Complex that was in that movie, The Race to Witch Mountain. Do you remember that?
oh, mm-hmm,
With
yeah,
Dwayne Johnson
mm-hmm.
and the crazy girl from The Bridge to Terabithia, which was another traumatizing movie that we
That was
watched when we were
traumatizing.
kids.
I don't want to talk about that movie for sure.
Terabithia, whatever it is, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Terabithia, yeah. And then that kid, he was in
Josh
Hunger
Hutcherson.
Games.
Was that Josh Hutcherson?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. That was a good movie. I don't know if you guys ever watched that one.
Mm-hmm. No.
That was
I don't
based off
think I
an
have.
internet fandom. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We'll continue on.
Well, let's take a break.
Welcome back. So, Nolan had a question for us.
Yeah, so I was wondering what you guys' first life memory was. If you knew what that was, or if what you can remember that happened the first time in your life.
I have mine queued up.
Okay, you go first
I
then.
remember. So, the only thing I really remember is, remember Dad shot an elk and then was gutting it, and then he got too deep with his knife because I think the worst place to shoot an elk is with your family, with 2 little kids, and he got his knife too deep in the intestines, and it
And he had
exploded like a volcano into his mouth and eyes. And I remember he used my water bottle, which had like a ladybug and a soccer ball in foam on the top of them. That's how I remember that this is a memory I have, not a story I've heard.
You remember this?
Oh, for sure.
Because I remember the water bottle. Mine had a soccer ball or like a baseball on top of it in like foam, and he was projectile vomiting, and then using that to squirt the bile out of his eyes and mouth, and it would projectile vomit and then squirt that out of his eyes and mouth. Now, what I don't remember about that story is after he shot the elk, is him rolling the 4-wheeler and then using himself as a human shield and the 4-wheeler rolling over the top of him to protect me. Don't remember that at all, but the elk exploding into his eyes and mouth, I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember that image.
Well,
Just
and
like a little volcano.
part of the reason that that it exploded is it was actually kind of a gut shot. And so it was, the elk's guts were already, like, I don't think that would just happen on any animal. It was because of that one, he had already
He'd already did a poor shot on her. That was a spike, I think.
And it was just a spike elk. I was like,
if we ever have him on, we'll have to have him tell this.
I remember. I don't remember. I remember Dad's version of the story, but I don't remember anything until him sticking like his knife in and it going boosh right in his eyes. And going,
so how old do you think you were?
I think I was 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember a whole lot until that was when we lived out in Beauville. I don't remember really anything from Beauville. I think I talked about how I stepped on like a spike or something like that. I vaguely remember that. I remember eating cat food.
But that was even in Moscow. So
I kind of remember the barn we had out there.
Do you remember sledding out there?
I don't think I do. I think I remember the stories. Really? I know the stories, but I don't think I remember like your brain can like transpose stories into memories. I don't think I remember that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
because you were so young. You were 3 when we left, so.
But that's my first memory that I think that I really truly believe is my own, not like a story I've heard that I think that's one I really remember.
That's a way better first memory.
Do you have anything?
Well, I have a lot because like all of my first memories would be in Bouleville, but
you don't know.
I was also 2 years older than him, so I don't know which one is first though. I remember sledding. I remember Mom burning the cookies and setting them on the front porch, and then raccoons would come eat them. Because she set them out there to cool off.
Mm-hmm.
But then the raccoons would come down and then she would yell, Jay, there's a raccoon! And he'd go shoot at it. I don't think he ever killed one.
No, it's probably just for fun. Boom,
I remember.
boom, boom, boom.
Well, see, we would need him to tell the story of one time, I don't know exactly the whole thing, but he said he saw it like go up in the tree and he shot up in the tree. And I'm pretty sure the tree cleared out of raccoons. There was more than just a couple up there. And then they were in the barn. I don't know. He would have to say the story. Yeah. There was a lot of raccoons, apparently. Yeah, so I can't remember exactly what my first memory is, but all of my firsts are from out there. Like, the neighbors had cows that were kind of free range. Anyway, when they would come in the pasture, my mom would be like, the cows are out there. And we would jump on the four-wheeler and she'd chase the cows out of the... Oh, so she's always been weird about her driveway.
No.
Yeah, that's not just started.
She told me she's thankful for Uncle Gene because he lived with them and they had to wrestle a gun from her hands because the cows were out in the pasture and she grabbed the gun and was headed out the door. And Dad and Uncle Gene had to wrestle the gun away from her because she was ready to shoot the cows. Because
she was pregnant.
Yeah,
so she was pregnant with me.
And they would crap in the driveway and everywhere.
Yeah, so she's always been weird about it.
Yeah.
Or Dad and I, we would walk up the road around the corner. So like where the house was, it's like right on the corner. We would walk to the corner and then at the corner it was like a pretty steep embankment, but then you went down to the creek and you could fish. Mm-hmm. So I remember like all the stuff from out there, but I don't know exactly what my first memory is. Matthew's first memory is definitely more memorable.
That's pretty good,
yeah. All right, what about you, Nola?
Well, I think I was probably 2 years old, somewhere younger. I could have been a little younger. And I have heard contradicting views to this story, but as I recall it, what I remember in my head seeing was my older brother, Cameron, who's 3 years older, riding one of those, what are those things called that a baby sits in that's got like the ring that you can...
Yeah. Like, is it hung in a doorway?
No, it's on wheels. It's on wheels.
Like a, I know the ones that hang up are like Johnny Jumpers, so I'm not sure exactly.
Like a baby walker or something like that. I know what you're talking about.
But you would sit in it.
It has like little toys
roll
on it
around.
You can play with.
Yeah.
You can crawl around with your feet.
I recall him taking that down a flight of stairs.
It explains a lot, but...
You almost got a spit take out of me, dude. My God.
I recall, but here's the problem. So I recall being at the top of the stairs watching him go down. If you ask some other people, they'll tell you I was the one taking it down the stairs. So I'm not sure what is true. I just know what my memory is, but it could have been that I was the one.
You were wishing it was Cameron, not you, as you're on the way down.
Because if I was like all I know is we moved from that house at some point when I was 2 years old.
All I know is that usually 4-year-olds are not in those things.
Well, that's the problem with this memory is that.
So you would have been more the age than Cameron.
I know that's the problem, but I recall being at the top watching him take it down. And it didn't end
Maybe
well.
Your soul left your body.
It could have been. I was watching from up above.
Yeah,
you were watching yourself
because
that
we
was
moved
God's
from
hand on you as you fell down the stairs,
keeping me safe from up there. We moved from that house when I was 2, so he would have. If it was him, he would have either been 4 or 5.
Yeah, but I mean, 4 or 5-year-olds. If you have a younger brother, you probably get in those things and mess around.
Maybe, and then I also recall Preston, who's 6 years older than me. He at that same place. He caught like maybe there was like a wounded blackbird or something, and he brought it inside and nursed it back to health in the basement. And then at some point, it got away and was flying around in the house down there. And so I do remember a couple, because then I do remember when we moved to the next house when I was 2. I remember going to it. I remember there was a hole in the backyard that must have been for like bringing the water from the well in, or maybe there was a septic tank there. I'm not exactly sure, but I do remember a big. So it was before we moved, and so somewhere in my 2-year-old range, I do remember a couple things. But going back to the house before, I am told I do not recall this. at all. I doubt it happened, but I'm told that I ate lots of dog food. I would just sit outside and
Shovel it in.
munch on dog food is what like Preston says.
Hey, listen.
So I don't know if that's factual.
Which house was Cameron targeted by the cat at? Was that when you were 2, or was that once you moved?
That was once we were had moved. We
had, and that was I was a little older. Cameron was targeted by the cat.
Yeah, we had a Siamese cat, and it picked on him. Like it,
that's
I don't
hilarious.
Remember it. I don't recall if it ever did anything to me, but no, it would like. We had like this sectional couch. It was in a trailer house, and so there was a sectional couch that would go along the living room, and it would end right at where the living room turned into a hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And that cat would hide, like it was hang out between the wall and the back of the couch, and then it would like jump at him as he walked by. And I think there was a couple other instances. Like we got rid of the cat because it was
a problem
out of control. And
what was he doing to it?
I don't know. And it
he
may
was
have been
molesting that cat or something.
It may have been like some of it to me too. I'm guessing I was probably had some incidents. And so this would be some of this stuff we would definitely need to get a viewpoint from someone else that was definitely older to really remember what went on.
I think when we asked your mom, she did think it was you too, but she couldn't quite remember either.
Yeah,
but
it was a reason we got rid of this night. Like it was, I think it was a probably good, nice Siamese cat, except for it attacked us every now and then.
You know,
cats will just do that.
My view of Siamese cats has always been twisted by that movie Aristocats that we had on VHS, because there's a Siamese cats that are creepy and they always sing.
That's Lady and the Tramp. That's Lady and the Tramp.
Is that Lady and the Tramp? Not Aristocats?
Yeah, the twin Siamese. That's Lady and the
Tramp. You're right,
Tramp.
because they're trying to kill the rat in his house. Yeah, no. So ever since then, I've always been leery of Siamese cats because I remember that they're evil in that film.
And their creepy little song, I mean, that changes a person after you watch them dance, and then their little song they sing, that just will scare you away from Siamese. Mom kept bringing them into our house.
And she's like, I love them. And I'm like, Mom, they're devils. Didn't you watch the movie?
These things are satanic.
Didn't you watch The Lady and the Tramp? They're devils. The devils wear their skin. You have to say a spell. You have
probably zero idea what we're talking about.
I'm just listening.
He's not a Disney kid.
Can we go back one more thing to the house that we lived at when I was 2 and younger?
Absolutely, buddy.
It was stuff I don't remember from when I was there, but I do remember we had geese, and I don't know what kind of geese they were, but it was my brother Preston's responsibility to feed them, collect their eggs. And we're going to have to take a pause here for a second.
Welcome back. Nolan, tell us about the geese.
Okay. So we had these geese, and it was Preston's job to take care of them, feed them, and there must have been eggs that he'd have to collect. And they would always chase him. Like, they would lower their heads down and charge at him as he walked away.
Okay.
And they would attack him in wherever they were, their little house or whatever. And I don't have any idea how many we had, but it was a decent amount, I think. And he would I guess he started carrying around like this fake rubber snake, and that was his weapon to beat them off of him from chasing him. And so he has serious PTSD from geese. And when we have a goose now, but when we had even our first goose,
she was the best goose.
And Joey. It started losing feathers. He wanted some of the feathers to tie flies. And so I was like, yeah, you can come over and get whatever you want. They're all over the place. She's preening herself, and they're just everywhere. And he didn't want to go in the pen and get them.
He was afraid of Joey.
He was still scared of him.
As a grown man, he was afraid of his goose.
It was so bad.
And she was a nice goose, too.
She hissed every now and then at other things, not people, I don't think, really. But
she really liked Nolan after we nursed her back to health.
Yeah, but...
May God rest her soul.
I know.
It was, yeah, it's pretty funny. Apparently, it was a pretty rough childhood, and he would have been, what, 8?
Mm-hmm.
7 and 8 years old, and was just getting terrorized by geese, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Dad
anyway,
always told
that's
us
that
you got to
story.
man up to the rooster. You got to show him who's boss. And it didn't work, and then one day he killed the rooster because the rooster did not learn that he was not boss.
Yeah, Dad told me that that's how we needed to do it when he brought home 27 roosters for some reason. And I had a little plastic purple shovel, and he was like helping me hit it with this little plastic shovel. And he smashed my finger against the barn, and I was done with him and the rooster and the shovel. I was not going to collect eggs if that's what it took.
I remember that where he brought back all the. There was like we got hatchlings, and I don't know what it was. We got like 12 roosters and like 4 hens or something like that. It was horrible. We had to kill so many roosters. We had no chickens left. Because it was like I can't remember what it was. It's like a 1 in 4 chance that your egg is going to be or that your hatchling, I'm sorry, is going to be a rooster. And we ended up with like 3 times as many roosters as we had hens. Those poor hens were ragged. We had to kill them because they would just not leave them alone.
How many hens did you guys have? Like in the last
36.
36 hens and 2 roosters, and that was too many roosters for that amount of hens. Like they were
only because they do like a dominant thing. So like if one breeds, the other one has to go to that hen and breed too.
And
so it's like the same 6 poor hens were just. And so I told Dad we got to deal with this.
They were losing feathers. And,
yeah,
we had a bunch of naked chickens running around. It was
beat
terrifying.
The hell out of them when they breed them. It's weird.
It is strange.
Hey, that's how chickens do it. I was listening. So since I've been watching the Wicked movie, or I guess I watched it, and I've been listening to the soundtrack. Spotify will play songs that I like after the Wicked soundtrack ends. And it keeps playing my all-time favorite Disney song, which is Colors of the Wind from the Pocahontas movie.
Yeah.
And there's no chickens in that, but I wish that I've always wanted a raccoon that is very lifelike.
Oh, yeah. Because Miko is awesome.
Miko. I thought it was Mako. Mako was...
It's definitely Miko.
Miko, yeah. Which I know that...
Twit is the hummingbird.
Man, there's a hummingbird. But that's my favorite one. That and the Mulan has got to be my favorite songs. We watched all those as...
Which one in Mulan?
I like, she's cutting her hair, and she's like, my reflection shows who I am inside. I'm like, cuts me up every time.
The girly song out of that, not,
listen.
Let's get down to business.
Hey, listen.
To defeat the Hun.
I'm a feeling type of guy. I have a heart...
He likes how his reflection looks. When
my reflection shows who I am inside.
When he's combing his hair in the mornings, this is what's going on.
Dude, I comb my hair with my pillow. Can't you tell?
Yeah.
My wife said I'm going bald. It scared me to death.
Why don't you say that to my face, you limp noodle?
Yeah, you schmuck. You know, it's great. I wish you said schmuck. That's great. As Eddie Murphy voices the dragon, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of someone else that would have been a better dragon.
Than Eddie Murphy? What is that?
Yeah.
What did you watch as a kid, Nolan? You didn't watch Mulan. If you weren't a Disney kid, like Amanda said earlier.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
He's very judgmental about it.
I don't remember VHS era. Really watching kids stuff like that.
What movies did you watch when you were a kid?
Well, you probably weren't really allowed to watch a lot of movies growing up as a Men in Tight. So, but hey, tell us about the night you threw up in the sink. What did you do that day?
Oh yeah, I don't remember what my age was, but I was clearly too young to watch Black Hawk Down, The Patriot, and watch my cousin play lots of Grand Theft Auto 3.
Your cousin, who's how much older than you?
8 years probably.
This was all in one night?
All in one night.
This is like getting pepper sprayed. Like that's Black Hawk Down, The Patriot, and then Grand Theft Auto 3. That messed up your brain chemistry forever.
Yeah.
This is why he doesn't like Disney movies.
This explains exactly why
we were at my aunt and uncle's house, and I slept walked. I ended up in my aunt and uncle's bedroom at one point, and then I ended up in the kitchen, throwing up in the kitchen sink.
Yep.
Dude, that's rough. Demonic possession. Something got you.
I remember the most memorable part was when the guy's head was just gone after the cannonball.
I remember a cannonball comes through and it's just gone.
Yep, I remember that scene vividly. I remember. I'm in the same boat. You could pause it and see where the cannonball replaced his head. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't think I ever paused it at that exact moment.
Just me, man.
That's funny. Oh
Dude,
my
gosh. Patriot's great. We need Mel Gibson to quit talking about how he wished his girl was done that by a pack of you-know-whom's. And we need him to make a... You never heard about that? Let's get that part out.
WTF are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, the thing he got in trouble for?
Oh, I'll have to look it up.
He's making the sequel to the Passion of Christ called The Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that'd be pretty
cool.
And
they've been writing it for like 4 or 6 years or something. That's all he's been doing.
Which that's one of the craziest things ever. Is listening to the guy that played Jesus in the Passion of Christ talk about his experience of being like as he was going like.
It was rough.
I mean, you could either take it as. Like, I think some Christians take it as God was upset that someone was playing Jesus. And then other ones are saying that he was under some serious, like...
attacks from the devil.
Yeah, the devil was out to get him. He was struck by lightning. He broke something. I don't know. The list is intense of what happened to that guy as they were filming that movie.
Yeah, that'd be Jim Caviezel. Now, Jim Caviezel is Catholic, and Catholics are really big on symbolism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I've heard a lot of that stuff before. Catholicism. I'd like to learn more about it. Do you know the Catholic Bible has a couple more books than
the 4, I think.
Yeah, the book with the Maccabees. I'd really like to read those because they were books written by, I don't want to say prophets, but they just weren't accepted by Judaism. But then the argument is the New Testament isn't accepted by Judaism, but they aren't accepted by the books.
Well, the problem with the books that are added to the Catholic as to why they're not in the Bible is because every single book in the Bible, except for Hebrews, we know who the writer... No.
Yeah.
Hebrews.
Yeah.
The writer and everything can be traced back, and those 4 books don't have all the historical and tracings that all the other books do.
And Hebrews, they have a good idea, or it has several writers.
But it has also, like, they can trace it back, not to people, but they can,
Hebrews is basically, like, everything goes back to something in the Old Testament.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the only, like, on those. Yeah, because I was kind of interested in that, too, because I was like, oh, I guess no, because they came later. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, well, why would they not be added to the Bible?
Yeah, because they bridge the gap between the Old and New Testament, right?
Yeah, but...
I have some of his injuries he suffered.
Well, it sounds like he knew what it was.
Well, no,
shoulder dislocation. The weight of the cross dislocated his left shoulder. He continued filling with a limp arm, which added realism. He was struck by lightning. Mm-hmm. He said he was lit up like a Christmas tree and that fire came out of his head. He required 2 heart surgeries, including open heart surgery after filming. He was accidentally whipped twice, leaving a 14-inch scar on his back. Mm-hmm. He spent several hours hanging mostly naked from a cross in the Italian winter, which caused him to get hypothermia and pneumonia.
Okay, that one is just stupidity. I mean, what else do you expect to
almost
happen?
Bit his tongue off, and he wore makeup to create a swollen eye, which gave him migraines, but that doesn't really...
Mm-hmm. So some of it's not, but I mean, getting struck by lightning, that's
like 1 in a million, right?
Yeah. I don't know exactly what the odds are, but it's not... They're not great that you would just be, like, wandering about and getting struck by it just from, randomly. But
the fact that it happened while portraying that.
I heard something the other day because you said hit the cross, and anyway, I was thinking about it. I can't remember exactly what it was on. Someone was saying that, what was it on that I heard this? Maybe, it was probably Instagram. So, I mean, people on Instagram really can push me over the edge pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But they were saying that we make it out to be more of a big deal of Jesus being on the cross than it really was, because he had like a footrest. So he wasn't actually just hanging there by the nails in his hands and feet.
Are they aware that after they torture you for a while, they break your legs with a sledgehammer? Or was he aware of that part?
Except for that Jesus had no bones broken in order to fulfill the prophecy in Isaiah.
They
but
break his legs.
No. But he did not have something to stand on. He was hung up by the nails in his hands and his feet. And even if he wasn't, even if he did have something to stand on, you're still hung up there by nails. I was like, what? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Though, I guess if anybody wants to give it a try, I can build a cross and I can get some stakes and I can hang some people up if they would like to give it a go. But anyway, it was just kind of a dumb thing someone said, and I was like, oh boy, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be hung up regardless of if I had something to stand on or not.
Especially naked. They in the in the reliefs that they paint and they draw, they always draw Christ like clothed, a garb or a loincloth. But you were definitely 100% naked at that point.
Oh yeah.
And just to be strung up naked in front of a crowd, you couldn't pay me any amount of money to be strung up naked.
Nah.
Let alone for free, for torture, just for crimes you didn't necessarily commit. Yeah, so that would suck. Just being strung up naked in front of a crowd would be bad.
It's a no-go.
But then again, you add in the torture, the humiliation, everything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which that's something that never really clicked with me for a while, is that it wasn't necessarily because anybody can undergo torture. Like if you told Nolan or any man could, like, hey, you're gonna save the world if we torture you, like beyond relief for like ever. Like you could probably take that. Most men probably could if you're gonna save the world, quote. But the humiliation of being accused of being wrong of something that you didn't do, like, and not speak up for it, like that is more than most people could take. It wasn't necessarily the torture; it was the humiliation of this is your wrongs, and then not correcting the record, because not being right is way harder to take than physical pain. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a
at some point in there, you would be like, I didn't do that.
Exactly, and that's something that never really clicked for me until I was an adult. Is I wasn't. It was several compounding things. It wasn't just this. It was also, it was taking abuse that isn't meant for you is something that I don't think nobody can. Yeah, exactly. Without correcting the record, nobody can take that. Like, without just once being like, but it wasn't me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to. I don't know, but then again, you hit me with a lash, and I'd be weeping like a baby. So I'd be pissing my pants and everything. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think we were wanting to talk about the crucifixion. It's not even Easter.
Well, I kind of brought it up because we were talking about Mel Gibson, and then we got on Passion of Christ, and then
got to Instagram.
Yeah.
And with that, let's wrap it up.